With the foreclosure moratorium being lifted soon, people behind on loan payments that aren't able to sell their house or work out a loan modification with their lender will lose their homes to foreclosure. On today's video, let's take a look at the top 10 markets that may experience the highest volume of foreclosures in 2022, coming up.
This video is brought to you by Flipster, the nation's #1 real estate software, with tools for finding, funding, and flipping houses. Check it out now at getflipster.com.
This is the second video I've done recently about the potential foreclosure crisis and impending market correction that may result. Now, the reason why foreclosures are so important to track is because a wave of foreclosures will flood the market with inventory, and because they are distressed properties, they typically sell at steep discounts, which drives down values and can cause a decline and possibly a market crash. Now, I strongly believe we will not see a tsunami of foreclosures. To find out why, watch a video where I break it down in detail. And I'll put the link to that video in the description below for you. Now, why are foreclosures an important topic for discussion right now? Well, after the pandemic and subsequent businesses being shut down, millions of Americans lost their jobs and were unable to make their mortgage payments. In an effort to prevent a flood of foreclosures, the federal government stepped in and offered homeowners forbearance, allowing them to postpone making payments, and mandated that lenders could not foreclose for non-payment. But that's all ending soon. Lenders will be able to foreclose again for non-payment under certain circumstances. But generally speaking, I don't think we're going to see a ton of foreclosures because of the huge increase in equity. Looking back over the past year, home values nationwide have increased by 15.4% from May 2020 to May 2021. This is the highest rise since 2005. Data provider CoreLogic is predicting for the rise to continue another 3.4% by May of 2022. In fact, just for fun, there are 5 states that appreciated even more than 15% during the past year. See if you're surprised at all. Number 1 was Idaho at 30.3%. Number 2 was Arizona at 23.4%. Number 3 was Utah at 20.4%. Number 4 was Indiana at 20.2%. And number 5 was Montana at 19.5%. Now, I've been doing deals in all of those states and crushing it. What's interesting is 4 of the 5 highest appreciated states were out west, and I think it's mostly due to the mass exodus of Californians leaving their godforsaken state. Anyways, a homeowner unable to make his payments will sell his house before letting it go to foreclosure. But despite crazy high appreciation in most markets, don't forget, real estate is local and not all markets are booming with double-digit appreciation. Now, in a minute, we're going to look at top 10 cities that are predicted to have the highest foreclosures. But first, let's look at 5 markets predicted to decline in 2022. According to the CoreLogic Home Price Insights report, they are predicting that some markets will have a decline in housing prices over the next year. Number 1 is Springfield, Massachusetts. Number 2 is Worcester, Massachusetts, or not to offend the locals, Worcester. Number 3 is Chico, California, which is north of Sacramento. Number 4 on the list is Oxnard, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, California. And last but not least, number 5 is Norwich, New London, Connecticut. Now let's talk foreclosures. A new report from the American Enterprise Institute found that 14.7% of the 7.6 million mortgages backed by the Federal Housing Administration, or FHA, were delinquent in May. An additional 10.5% of those loans were delinquent by more than 90 days and at risk of going into default. And what's interesting is there is a direct correlation between the percentage of FHA loans and delinquencies. Why do you think that is? Might it be that FHA has the lowest credit and down payment requirements to qualify for a loan? Is it any surprise that high-risk borrowers result in high default rates? So let's look at 10 major markets from lowest to highest percentage of delinquent loans compared to the percentage of total loans backed by FHA. Number 10 is San Bernardino, Ontario in the Riverside, California market with total delinquent loans at 14.3% compared to 20.6% of loans backed by FHA. Number 9 is Arlington and Grapevine in the Fort Worth, Texas market with total delinquent loans at 15.7% compared to 18.3% of loans backed by FHA. Number 8 is New Brunsville's in the San Antonio, Texas market with total delinquent loans at 16% compared to 19.3% of loans backed by FHA. Number 7 is Sandy Springs and Alpharetta in the Atlanta, Georgia market with total delinquent loans at 17.2% compared to 17.4% of loans backed by FHA. Number 6 is Columbia and Towson in the Baltimore, Maryland market with total delinquent loans at 17.3% compared to 19.4% of loans backed by FHA. Number 5 is the Woodlands and Sugarland in the Houston, Texas market with total delinquent loans at 17.4% compared to 21% of loans backed by FHA. Number 4 is Philadelphia, Pennsylvania with total delinquent loans at 17.5% compared to 17.6% of loans backed by FHA. Number 3 is Naperville and Evanston in the Chicago, Illinois market with total delinquent loans at 18.8% compared to 19.3% of loans backed by FHA. Number 2 is Arlington and Alexandria in the Washington, D.C. market with total delinquent loans at 18.8% compared to 13.7% of loans backed by FHA. And number 1 is Plano and Irving back in the Dallas, Texas market with total delinquent loans at 19.1% compared to only 14.2% of loans backed by FHA. Now notice 4 of the top 10 markets are Texas, and that probably has a lot to do with the failing oil industry. So how is this information useful if you're a real estate investor in any of those 10 markets? Here are 2 suggestions. First, if you're looking for deals to wholesale or flip, these would be great markets to target pre-foreclosure leads. Pre-foreclosure are people late on payments and in the foreclosure process. Where permitted, you can contact them to see if they are interested in selling before losing their homes to foreclosure. Now, the best way to do that is by using my Flipster system. With Flipster, you can get a list of pre-foreclosure leads, skip trace them and call or text them, or you can use a done-for-you direct mail tool and send them a postcard. Now, the best part is Flipster helps you organize, streamline, and automate all of the steps to wholesaling and flipping houses. To learn more and see it in action, just go to getflipster.com. The second suggestion is if you're worried about the market declining, you can always do deals remotely in another market. Known as virtual flipping, this is how I do all my deals. To learn how to do your next virtual flip in the next 30 days without ever seeing the property in person, be sure to get my virtual flipper kit for free. Just go to virtualflipperkit.com. All I ask in return is you leave a comment and say, "Thank you, Jerry, you are a flipping genius." In fact, be sure to watch a video where I show how I randomly virtually found and wholesaled a house in less than 1 hour. Watch that video now, and if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe to my channel with over 725 videos. This is the #1 channel on YouTube for all things flipping, and I'll see you on the next video.